Hi everyone, this is Robert Marcello from People Incorporated. Please enjoy our next episode. Day Trip Squad's own Sam Freitas sits down with Melissa Carreiro, owner and founder of Little Wanderers Sensory Play in Fall River.
Tune into the Day Trip Squad where the vibe is always right. Live for people in Fall River, we're shining a bright light on young adults with autism, sharing stories, having fun. Join us, won't you? The adventure's just begun.
So awesome to be in this wonderland. I really do appreciate all the details. You know what? I have always been quite the fan of a childhood whimsy. It's as a person with a sensory condition, I can very much relate. I absolutely would have gone bonkers for this when I was a toddler. So with that in mind, what motivated you to first open up Little Wanderers Sensory Play?
What motivated me was after COVID hit, my son was born, and me and my husband took him in. And after a little while, him getting a little bit older, we realized that he had a lot of issues like being in loud spaces or like a Chuck E. Cheese. So overstimulating, trampoline parks. So I would do research on places we could take him that was a little less overstimulating and nothing would pop up. There was nowhere to go. There was nowhere for kids that had a sensory sensitivity unless it was like 1 hour out of the month. One place would make a time, which wasn't good for me. I felt that was unfair. So I started talking to my husband and we took our savings and after much research, and we ended up talking about opening our own sensory safe place for all kids, but it was geared towards kids that get overwhelmed and overstimulated.
And on my end, I remember when I was in kindergarten, I was attending the Mark Hoyle School in Swansea. So one thing I very, very, very clearly remember at the end of the year was that they were doing some kind of an assembly or a yearbook handout kind of thing in their cafeteria. And I very, very clearly remember that they were playing, I can't remember the name of it. But I know it's supposed to be a gentle song, but I remember I was coming out of there crying. I couldn't contain myself because the amount of stimulation that was going on in the cafeteria was just not cooperating with me. And eventually my mother and my father figured that they just take me out to eat, which would be far less overstimulating. I think it went something like, I hope you dance. And then I very clearly affiliate that song with that memory because I remember I was just shivering at that door. I couldn't even get in touch with myself at the time. Nowadays, I wouldn't have nearly as much of that problem, but it's a highlight. So, ever since you first opened this establishment, how much have you learned about the autism community?
A lot. I will tell you right now, no two kids are the same. It is not a visible disability. It is not a disability, it's an ability. It's not what people make it seem. You have to cater to every child individually. And just because a loud noise is uncomfortable for you doesn't mean it's uncomfortable for the next kid. So we make it in here. We have music playing, but we play it very low. We have different toys that have noise, toys that don't have noise. We have a whole variety of different things for something that everybody would like differently because no two kids are the same.
If you were to ask me, I'd say identity, not illness. And the reason that we call it autism spectrum disorder is that there are so many different expressions for each individual. And really, probably one of the only things that they all have in common is something that we like to call stemming or stimulation. That is, for example, you might see me rubbing a pencil in between my hands, or somebody else chewing on something or somebody rubbing something in their hair. And I continue to do those things personally because I feel that my existence and my ability to engage with the world around me is incomplete without some sort of touch coordination stimulus. Like, if I cannot get those senses into my mind, something's out of whack, and I cannot process my day without those kinds of things. When children come here, what's their favorite thing about this place?
Oh, there's a lot. The fish tanks, I have to say, they will sit there and stare at them and enjoy them. Our sensory bins are always different. Every 3 weeks, I transfer them out. So inside of our bins, there's always a different touch sensory that they can play with. The feeling of inclusivity, I can say, the feeling of safety is a big thing. I had a mother here this weekend, and she came up to me and she had tears in her eyes just to thank me that there was a safe place like this for her son, and her son was invited to a birthday party because the parents knew that this place was safe. And I was like, that right there is why I do what I do.
And if I had come here when I was their age, I absolutely would have gone nuts for the life-size dinosaur figurines first and foremost. And I think a big reason for that is just the level of detail that they're crafted with, from the teeth to the scales to their chest to their eyes, and just looking at this big bad butt monster and saying, okay, this is my jam. Like, that's the kind of thing that runs through my mind. And I had an absolute chest full of dinosaur figurines when I was in that age range. So, yep, personal appeal.
Those are very popular, you're right.
So, let's see here. How long did it take for you to set up this playground, and what kinds of considerations did you have in mind when arranging everything?
Believe it or not, I was naive, and when we rented this place, there was a wall that went all the way down that way. This place was filled with trash. It was nothing you would ever walk in and be like, this is what it's going to look like. But my vision and my passion just seen it, and I was like, this is going to work. Everybody thought I was crazy, and I also thought it was only going to take like 2 months. I thought I was naive, but it took us about, I would say, 4 months, which is not bad. My dad, my husband, my brother-in-law, and my father-in-law did 90% of the demo, and my daughter. My consideration was keeping it not so overwhelming. The colors took me forever to pick out because I am very OCD about the colors. I never want to pick a paint color again in my life. The flooring was another big thing for me. I didn't want hardwood floors. I didn't want the safety risk of them. I know a lot of kids, when they get overstimulated, a lot of their responses throwing themselves to the floor, and I just wanted it safety. So we bought these floors, which were very high priced, but it was one of the best investments, was to keep the floors and the one-door system with the alarm. So parents, if they have their child and their child has to leave, when that door alarm goes off, we all just automatically look just to make sure it's somebody coming in and not a kid trying to get out. But that was a big, big thing. My dad built that little waiting wall to make sure it was a safety to get away from the door so kids can't get out as fast.
Yes. One thing that I believe I've picked up on here is that nothing in here ever truly feels like white space, and that's by design. Because children, when they enter a space, want to make sure that there is something interesting that's taking up the right amount of space. And for people on the autism spectrum especially, making sure that it's accommodating, but not making them full, analogically speaking. And so leaving some space blank while making sure that it's equally spread out means that by filling out just the right kind of real estate, they don't feel like something's off. So now to round this all off, what kinds of plans do you have for Little Wanderers in the future?
I have big plans. I will not stop until I reach what I feel is perfect. I move in here all the time. I spend every last dollar we make in here upgrading to make sure it's better. But my 5-year goal is to own my own building. That is big enough to have a space for kids 0 to 5. And then we'll do a little bit bigger space for the little bit older kids. And then even like a rec hall or something from, we'll say, 12 to whatever age they want to come in. So that is my ultimate goal, is to have an inclusive space for all ages, but separate, if that makes sense. In the same building, like say different floors or whatever, just something, a safe space for kids of all ages, because again, nothing like that exists. A lot of places, even like early intervention and everything like that, 0 to 3. I've noticed too, there's nowhere for kids older to go and just have fun.
Tune into the Day Trip Squad, where the vibe is always right. Live for people linking forever. We're shining a bright light on young adults with autism, sharing stories, having fun. Join us, won't you? The adventure's just begun.
Thank you for tuning in today. We've created a place to connect with like-minded individuals and stay up to date with the latest DTS news. Our Facebook group regularly features event announcements and cancellations, monthly newsletters and calendars, and plenty of photos from our outings. This is a private group with exclusive content that is not featured on the public Family Support Center page. Come be a part of a vibrant, supportive, and engaging community. Join today.